Welcome back to the Figuring It Out Finance podcast, episode number 58, where I am breaking down my Hawaii trip. So this is the Figuring It Out Finance podcast, where I, Chris Rickenbaugh, am documenting my journey in real estate and business while also talking about travel hacking and personal finance. So as I said, I'm going to be breaking down where I've been for the last week and a half out in Maui, Hawaii. Got to do some really cool stuff and see a really beautiful place, and definitely want to live there in the next few years, and kind of plotting that out now. So I'm going to break down the trip here, but before I get into that, go ahead and follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Figuring It Out Finance, and as well as YouTube, Spotify, Podbean, and then you can check out figuringitoutfinance.com, where you'll have access to all of the podcasts, where you'll find the link to be able to listen to it right there. So getting into today's podcast, we just got back from a week in Hawaii out in Maui. That's the first time I've been out west and been able to be out there, and it was awesome. So there was a little bit of a hurricane coming through, so the first 2 to 3 days were a little bit rough, super windy, but still really nice to be able to be out there. And you can listen to episode 57 on how I booked all of those days out there through the rental cars, the hotels, and the flights, only for $66 total for all three of those things. So we got to stay in some really nice hotels. I love the Hyatt Regency. That was probably easily my favorite, just because we could walk straight to the beach. They had towels there for you. You didn't have to bring your own or the ones you have in the room. And then you had beach access too, and we got to swim next to some turtles that were really close. So getting there, it was a little bit of a long trip, but since you're basically going back in time 6 hours from Charlotte, we basically got a whole, probably about a half day out there, and then we woke up the next day, and since we're 6 hours behind, we woke up at like 3:30, so super dark, but really nice to be able to have those full days out there. And then that Saturday we went on a snorkeling trip, and that was really cool, but the winds were really rough, so the tide was really pulling you in, and just kind of tough, but we were able to go out there and snorkel quite a bit. Didn't really see much, but it was still cool. And then got to try out some different restaurants, so Monkey Pod, Maui Brewing. We went to a couple different places and checked out. I think I had the poke bowls about 6 times while I was out there. So we tried some different places to be able to try those out. But on Sunday, we had the hurricane really come through, so it was a pretty rough day to be able to be outside. So we went and checked out the Maui Ocean Center, so that was a quick little trip. And then we basically just hung out at the pool for the rest of the day. And then, rest of the week, we golfed one day, hiked and explored out on the Maui Ocean side, or not on the ocean side, but just was able to go out and look around, and then, go back, drink by the pool. We did end up doing the road to Hana. We got a little past halfway, and then Isabella started getting motion sickness just basically from all the turns. So if you haven't done it before, it's basically this like lane and a half road all the way to Hana, and they said over 600 turns. And then you can download this app called Shaka Guide, to where you can really have somebody tell you, and it picks up your location, so it kind of tells you what's coming up. And I thought that would have been a little bit cooler. There wasn't so many swimming spots that we saw, because normally you see where the cars are pulled off and you're thinking, oh, that's going to be really cool, because we did it about midday, and we didn't see any swimming spots, and it rained a lot the day before, so it was very touristy to where you had to pay for parking in a lot of these places. So unless we just didn't find the right places, it it wasn't all that I thought it was going to be, but still some really, really cool views. We even got to see the rock that was in Jurassic Park, but then we were able to go back and just hang out. But that was if you're going to do that, plan on it being the full day. So we only went just about halfway, and we still probably had another hour of straight driving to be able to get to Hana. And then the back road, which normally leads to the other side of the island, was closed. So we weren't able to do that, and we had to drive all the way back through. So it was like an hour and a half of the twists and turns, and yeah, kind of rough, but still really cool to be able to go out and see just how different each side of Maui is. So the Lahaina side, we were able to also see that area to where all the fires happen, and just everything's pretty much leveled down now, paved and almost ready to be rebuilt, which was kind of cool to see. And we even got to go up in the helicopter the next day and really see it from the top side, that everything was really cleared and just about ready to get to start building again, which was cool. So on Wednesday, we checked out of the Hyatt Regency. Pretty sad. We got upgraded to ocean views on both hotels, so the Hyatt Regency and the AC Marriott. And it was Isabella's birthday, so we got to just kind of hang out, spend the day. We did a helicopter ride. We got some really cool pictures on a beach with an awesome sunset that I'll be posting here in a couple of weeks. And yeah, I think it was at Secret Beach, and then yes. And then we got to eat at this super, super nice sushi restaurant. That was probably the most expensive restaurant I've ever been to, and it really wasn't even that much. But that was probably the best food that I'd had on Maui, and the first time I had like real authentic sushi from a sushi restaurant. So I would definitely love to live out in that area, in the Wailea area. Super, super nice, a little bit more upscale, but getting on the back end of the trip, we just kind of got to hang out at the new pool and tried to golf again. But like I said, it was super windy, and my golf game is just terrible right now, just god awful. So everything's going dead right, and then you can't even hit a straight shot because the wind was coming back in your face. So like I could have hit something that I'd normally hit 200 yards, and it would go maybe 80. In dead right. So really, really tough. So we played about 8 holes and said, all right, we're done with this. And then that night we were able to, I joined the Deal Flow program by Cam Cathcart, and he lives out in Maui. So we were able to go out there and meet him and his wife, and then another investor, Brian, and then have a really cool dinner with them. Just really cool connecting with other investors and people that are just doing it. So, yeah, that was probably one of the biggest highlights of my trip, is being able to go out and meet those guys, and really, really cool in person, because you never know how you're going to meet those people and if they're going to be like they are on the podcasts or on the calls. And they really were pretty authentic and really cool being able to meet those guys and stay in the Deal Flow program. So that's still rolling. It was kind of like a week and a half off for me, but this week hopping back into it, getting the funding checked out, or getting started on the funding, which is going to be really, really huge. So hopefully in the next month or so, we'll have some really cool things going on. But the next day, just kind of doing some more pictures, got to look at some food trucks, and really just enjoying the last day in Hawaii, to where we had this pool at the AC Marriott, to where it was it was up high enough, kind of over the trees, to where it kind of blended in with the water. So as the sun was setting and the ocean would turn kind of red, the pool would too. So beautiful, beautiful views that I'll have to be posting here soon. And then Saturday we headed back to Charlotte. So we flew out Saturday night from Maui, super long day, and just hanging out at the pool again, and just on Maui before we left. And super long plane ride, lots of jet lag. Still dealing with that this week, waking up just at completely different time. So hopefully within the next week we'll be back to it. But overall, from the Hawaii trip, I'd say the hotels, the Hyatt Regency, if I had to redo it, it would have been my last couple days there, just because we would have been able to spend a little bit more time at those hotels and really just been able to enjoy it, while we could have spent the AC Marriott stay kind of more doing our touristy things, since we did a lot of that in the first 3 days. And instead of really being able to just sit and enjoy the resort and the ocean. So I would have flipped those two around. But flying in from Charlotte all the way out to Maui, it's going to be a super long trip. So definitely keep that in mind. Maybe space it out a little bit. But I would, overall from the trip, super, super awesome. I would love to be able to go and live out there, and plotting it out now and seeing, through the tracking expenses and the travel and the points, it's like, all right, how are we going to be able to do this? So mapping that out right now, and then just kind of seeing, okay, this is where we got to be, and this is what we have to do in business to be able to get there. So hopefully within the next couple years here, we'll be actually able to live out in Maui. So really cool trip. I appreciate you tuning into the podcast. I'll be back again on Friday with a flip number 2 update, which will be a little bit more interesting because there's been a couple things going on this week as I'm getting back, and as we're a little over halfway through that project, a little bit more going on. So thanks for tuning in. I'll be back again on Friday with the Figuring It Out Finance podcast. And this is Chris Rickenbaugh signing off. We'll see you soon.